This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
You are listening to In a City Like Yours, a semi-monthly podcast featuring interesting people with interesting life stories. This podcast may contain language and/or subject matter not suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm your host, Michael G. Moore. Please visit our website at inacitylikeyours.com. That's INACITYLIKEYOURS.com for links to our social media, all popular podcast platforms, and links of interest pertaining to all episodes. On this episode, I chat with Artie, who is a psychic, medium, healer, and intuitive life coach. He came upon these skills beginning in his late 20s when he attended a seminar hosted by the Edgar Casey Foundation. At this seminar, they taught how to get in touch with your psychic self. He excelled at these skills, and after several years of playing around with reading for relatives, he decided to give his psychic abilities a go professionally. Now he works full-time helping and healing those who seek him out. Here is Artie's story.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Artie Hoffman, and I live in Central New Jersey, and I've been a medium and a psychic now for about 31 years. And what happened was, what got me into being a psychic and a medium, I had no intentions whatsoever to be a psychic or a medium at all. But, growing up, I wasn't born with the gift. I've learned to develop it. And this is my story. So when I was growing up, going in school, I always wanted to become a therapist. I always thought I not only did I think, I was really good with dealing with people. So I would probably say my personality was my best asset. And so here I am, I was never a scholastic person, though. I wasn't really good at school. I got by. But, for me, school was more of a social ground. I wasn't a troublemaker, but, I wasn't a bookworm either. But like I said, I wanted to become a therapist, but yet I didn't have the patience for books, and I wasn't really good at it. And it cost, a lot of money to, go to, college, extended education above and beyond to become a really good therapist. But I just put it to the back burner, kind of, sort of. And I never went to college, but I wrote a book, Angels and Answers. It explains about the spirituality of life in a very simplistic way. And in my book, it says I went to the University of Boston in Maryland for 2 years, but that was just to visit my friends. So that was my college education for the school years. But what happened was, here I am. I'm now like about 27 years old. And I have my own window cleaning, power washing business, and it's successful. But yet, I had everything going right in my life, as far as the house and the marriage and money, and everything was going fine. But yet I still wasn't fulfilled. And I'm sitting in my home office, and I look up at the ceiling, and I said, God, I need clear answers, and please don't scare the hell out of me when you give them to me. So, because I knew there was something more to life that I should be doing than just what I'm doing. So I go upstairs. I was in my home, in the basement. My office was in the basement. So I go upstairs and I go to my kitchen, and I saw a bunch of junk mail there. And so I'm shifting through it. And there was a postcard there, and it said, how would you like to develop your psychic abilities and intuitiveness? Go to the Edgar Casey Foundation in Virginia Beach for this one weekend seminar. And I looked at it, I said, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know you could learn how to do this. I thought either you had it or you didn't. So I asked my wife, who was my wife at the time, I said, you want to go to this? This looks really interesting. She goes, I don't give a crap. She goes, you can go if you want. I don't care. So I went away for that one weekend just to see if I can do it. And I wasn't looking at it like it was the answer to my prayers. I just did it just to see if I can do it. You know, it was like going to a program that said, how would you like to learn how to fish? How would you like to learn how to golf? It was like, you know, it was just a curious thing. Well, I go to the, Edgar Casey Foundation in Virginia Beach, and there's a huge room of people. There's about 50 of us from all different parts of the country. They got you into this spiritual mode. You know, there was a speaker there, and he's playing this spiritual music, this soft, beautiful music, and he's talking to us. And he said, just allow all judgments to go away and just pay attention to your heart and soul. And whatever thoughts you get that come into your mind, just share it with the person. So they broke us down into groups, and people were telling me how accurate my reads were, how accurate my thoughts were to them. And I was shocked because I had no clue that this even existed. Like, I was able to do this. And the funny thing is like when I was like in my late teens, early 20s, and I went to see other psychics, people said to me, says, all right, you could do this. You have the ability to do this. I go, yeah. I can't even see tomorrow. I can't even fathom that. It's like, whatever. Just tell me about my love life and my business life. That's all I cared about. So I wasn't looking to be a reader. So anyway, that one weekend literally changed my life forever because, like I said, I was, connecting to all these different people as we were breaking up into different groups. We would change partners throughout the course of the weekend and share our thoughts. So I go home. And I got myself a deck of spiritual cards. And I was reading for friends and family for about 3 years, just for the fun of it. And again, people were telling me how accurate my predictions were. And I was like shocked. I was purely shocked every time. To this day, I take nothing for granted. And I could not, like I said, I just could not believe it when people were telling me their testimonials of what I said came true. So after a few years, I got to a point in my life where I needed some extra money. And I said, you know what? I don't know. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I'm trying to think, what can I do beyond what I already do for a living? And so I thought, you know what? I know how to do readings. I said, I'll throw an ad in the paper. And it said, if I don't pull through, no charge. Because I didn't want people to think that I would be taking advantage of them. And I didn't want money to be an issue for me because I didn't want to choke under pressure because people are paying me all this money now. And I'm asking for more money than I've ever made before in my life. So it turns out that 90% of the people paid me. It just took off. And through word of mouth and recommendations. And I've been on TV, I've been on the radio, and it's now 31 years later. I've read for over 29,000 people. And here I said to you earlier that I always wanted to become a therapist. And I have no college education. And now I have therapists who come and see me for answers. And the thing is, I tell people, it's a lot like, it was a lot like school for me. Like, my friends would help me out with the answers. I cheated a lot in school. My friends would give me the answers. Not all the time. I mean, I can figure some things out. But it was like, it's the same thing. I get answers from the angels. I get answers from your loved ones who passed away. And they feed me information into my thoughts. And I share information with whoever I'm with in that moment. And there are times where people have medical issues. And I'm no doctor, but I've told people exactly what was wrong with them. But again, it's not from me. Yes, it's coming from me, but I'm being fed the messages because of the angels and my spirit guides, or your loved ones. Because when I communicate to people, it's not just psychically, but it's also as a medium. Now, the difference between psychic and medium: a psychic is someone who could tell you what's going on in your life, your past, present, future, whether you should go, whether you should stay, whether you should do this or do that. And then a medium is somebody who can communicate to people who have passed away. So when people show me a picture of their loved ones, I look into the eyes of the picture, and then their loved ones start communicating to me in my thoughts. And then I share the information. I don't always need a picture, because when I do live shows, there's no picture. Well, some people bring pictures because they know that's how I read. But a lot of times I just pick up spirit and I start sharing information. Yeah, it's pretty wild. There are people who might think like what I do is the devil's work. They go, oh, it's against my religion, or that's negative, or you're getting it from Satan, or you're getting the messages from negative spirits. Let me tell you something. I have helped heal so many people emotionally and physically. I have helped so many people that if you're telling me that the devil is giving me all this information, then I need to shake his hands and thank him, because he's done some really good work by me then. But the bottom line is, just because I do what I do, it doesn't make it negative. It's what your intentions are behind your action is what makes something positive or negative. So are there people who do what I do and manipulate the public to drain them out of money? Yes. But that's why when I first started this endeavor, first started this path, I told you, I put an ad in the paper. I said, if I don't pull through for you, no charge. And most of the people did pay me, because I wouldn't feel personally comfortable if I felt like I didn't pull through. Now, being that I've read for so many people, I feel very confident in what I tell people. So you might not be able to appreciate what I'm saying in the moment, all right, when I'm doing a reading for you. But sometimes it's not until days, weeks, or many months later, or even over years later, that 2 and 2 equal up according to what I'm saying to you. So, just because you can't appreciate it, or there are people who said, there's no way that's going to happen, or I would never do this, or I'm not going to get a divorce, or he's not cheating, or I'm not going to move, or whatever. I said, look, I'm not looking for your approval. I'm just telling you my gut instincts of what I see happening or what I feel. Now, am I right 100% of the times? No psychic is ever right 100% of the times. Can I honestly say, am I right most of the times? Yes, I'm right most of the times, but not all the times. Because a lot of times when you give people information, it can change the course of events because you have knowledge now. Now, I empower people. So a lot of times when people come to me for psychic readings and they're in very vulnerable positions in their life, they're in a bad relationship, they hate their job, dealing with their friends, they're having a hard time with their own selves. So what I do is, rather than tell them what their future is going to be like, if I just told them what their future is going to be like based on their energy coming to see me, the reading is most likely going to suck. It's not going to be good. What I do is I without them saying anything, I feel what they're going through, and I tell them what they're going through, and I put their emotions into words. And so I help them rearrange their thought process so that they can now have a healthier perspective about life and about life themselves, about their own life. So when you have a healthier perspective within yourself, that gives you more power. When you have more power, you're going to make better and healthier decisions about yourself. And that's the purpose of me doing readings for people. I've told people, there are people who said, I'm never going to get married. I said, yes, you are. And I'm very good at describing people's future love. I've also given people winning lottery numbers. I've given people, not pick sixes and stuff like that big, like pick threes, pick fours and stuff. I've done that over 80 times probably. And, winning situations with investments or whatever, but it has to be given to me. If people just ask me for stuff like that, I can't always give it to them because I have to hear it from the other side. So right now, for you to appreciate how I hear or how I see, it's like right now. So if you're in your living room or if you're in your car, can you picture what your bedroom looks like? Could you picture the house that you grew up in? So that image that you have in your head, That's the kind of messages that are sent to me from the spiritual world. See, for you, it's a recall of a memory. For me, it comes to me unconditionally, but I'm just letting you know that when I see images, I could see images of what certain people look like or what certain course of events. Or sometimes I'll see a video in my head. They'll show me a video. So I'll tell you what I see is going to be happening according to the video that's put in my head. So the video is equivalent to you. If you think about the last time you went on vacation, or if you think about, when you first woke up this morning and like all the little things that you did this morning, it's a video in your head that you could recall. See, again, it's a recall for you. But for me, it's a video of a course of events that haven't happened yet. A lot of times I'll hear voices in my head. But when I say I hear voices, if you could hear the sound of your best friend's voice in your head, you could recall the sound of their voice. Or your kids or your parents, you could recall the sound of their voice in your head. So that's how I hear. And a lot of times I'll hear songs in my head. So somebody will ask me a question, and then all of a sudden the spiritual world will start playing a song to me. Whatever that song is about, that's what's going on in their life. And a lot of times they don't even have to ask me a question. A lot of times the spiritual world would just start showing me a song or playing me a song, and I already know what's going on with that person based on what that song is about. So it's really cool in many different facets that, the spiritual world could show you. Other people get images in dreams. I don't get that. I don't see a course of events of what's about to happen, at least not just yet. In my dreams, it's like when I dream, I just dream, like abstract thoughts or whatnot, like a lot of most other people. But I do have friends who dream of a course of events that are about to happen, and they do, but that's not me. I have friends that were born with the gift, but I learned it. I have friends that were in near-death experiences, and then before the accident or before whatever happened to them, they had nothing of the gift. And then as soon as they died and they were clinically dead and they were brought back to life, all of a sudden they had the gift. They were blessed with the gift, and they're able to see things or feel things or know things for whatever reason. For me, I went to class. I went to a 1-weekend seminar, and I was so fascinated by it that it was my burning desire of wanting to know more about it or to see how I could develop it more and more. And let me tell you something. I met the most coolest people, and I wouldn't have met 90% of the people in my life had I have not followed this path. And I've also, have done work with animals. There's a lady who once called me up, and because I do a Facebook Live show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I do a Facebook Live show called Angels and Answers, and I read people for free for 1 hour, and they send in questions and I answer them. I can't answer everybody because I literally have, thousands of people watching and close to 1,000 questions per show. So I can only answer so many within the hour. But I answer people, during the show. So, but any case, so I do the Facebook Live show and I read, and like I said, I read for all these people, and I've, like I said, I've met the coolest people, and I've helped so many people. So a lady calls in and she says, Artie, she texted me, and she says, Artie, there's a problem with my horse, and the vet can't figure it out, why my horse isn't eating. And he seems like he's in pain, but we can't figure it out. Can you help me? So when she said that to me, the spiritual world showed me the lower stomach of the horse, right where the stomach and the intestines are. And I said, I feel like it's inflamed. And every single time the horse eats, it hurts the horse. Because when it goes from the stomach going through the intestines, it hurts the horse. And he's got some kind of like a virus or bacterial, but it's very inflamed and it's very painful for the horse to digest his food. So she went back onto my show 2 weeks later, and she says, Artie, you were right. She said that vet checked out and x-rayed the horse right in the area where you said. And that's exactly what the problem was. And unfortunately, they had to put the horse down because he couldn't cure that issue, what was going on. But like I said, I'm no vet. I'm no doctor. I didn't go to Yale. I didn't go to Harvard. I mean, realistically, am I a therapist? Realistically, I am, even though I never went to college. However, people call me their psychic therapist, which actually I find very charming when I hear that. I don't need a certificate. I mean, there's no better experience. There's no better schooling than experience, the experience of life. So when you have hands-on learning about anything, that's your education right there. Because there are lots of people who go to school, go to college, and they learn stuff through the books. They're book smart, but when it comes to the reality of dealing with life, there's nobody home upstairs. They still can't do the job that they went to school for because they didn't have enough experience. You have to have experience at doing what you're doing to become really good at it. You know, there's one thing to know it, and it's another thing to experience it. You know, you could try to tell somebody how good it is to have sex. Right? You generally know what it's like how good it is to have sex. But until you experience it yourself, you'll never know how good it is until you experience it yourself. And it's the same thing with going to Disney. You know, you could try to tell somebody how beautiful Disney is or how beautiful Hawaii is. And that's great in the knowingness. But when you feel it yourself, that's living.
Hi, it's Audra.
Jason.
And Matt.
From Drinkopedia Podcast.
We're a bad education podcast that's like drunk history for the full curriculum.
We have new episodes every Thursday, and you can find us on most major podcast platforms.
Join us at the bar and follow us on Twitter at Drinkopedia Pod.
So there was a lady who came to see me for a reading. Well, there's thousands of people who came, but there was this one situation where a lady came in, and I'm reading for her, and I'm connecting to her mother. And she said, Artie, after the reading was over, she said, some of the things that you told me about my mother was kind of general. She goes, it was accurate. It did have to do with her. And other things, I admit, you were specific on certain other things that had to do with her. But I'm still having a really hard time. I'm having a really hard time believing the fact that you're actually talking to my mother. And I said, I could only share with you what the spiritual world shares with me. So her reading was already over at this point. I said, well, let me look at your mother's picture one more time. So I looked at her mother's picture and I said, your mom is showing me cows. She goes, what do you want me to do with that? I said, I don't know. Your mom is showing me cows. So in my mind, I started seeing all the cows get up on all fours. And they were mooing. They were all mooing. So I looked at her and I said, I don't know why I'm doing this, but moo. And she started to cry. And I said, what's the matter? And she points to her mother's picture. And she said, that's her name. I go, what are you talking about? Her name's Muriel, but everyone called her Moo. So that was pretty powerful. So she wanted to believe that it was her mother who was pulling through. And you can't get any more specific than that. When your loved ones passed away, they're alive just as much as you and I. Your loved ones who died. It's not that your loved ones died. None of your loved ones died. Even if they killed themselves or whatever, or died at birth, whatever, they're not dead. Their soul, our soul is who we are. And your soul right now, in this moment, your soul is expressing itself using the body that you're in. So when you die, it's not you that dies. It's not your loved ones that die. It's your body that dies. And then the soul lifts up out of the body and takes on to a different dimension. So another story is a girl comes walking into my place and she said to me, she goes, Artie, she goes, I just want you to know I've been thinking about you every single day for the last 2 years. And I'm like kind of flattered, and I'm saying, okay, it's I guess it's cool. You're thinking about me for the last 2 years, And I don't know why, but she was thinking about me every day for the last 2 years. And I said, so what happened? Why? She goes, you did a reading for me 2 years ago. And I don't remember, because I don't remember who I read for or what I say. She goes, you did a reading for me 2 years ago. We sat at this kitchen table here, and you held my hand. And as soon as you held my hand, you said, highway to hell. I'm going to highway to hell. Singing the song by AC/DC. So, and you sang that song to me, and you looked at me and you said, if I don't stop what I'm doing right now, you said to me, I'm doing something that I should not be doing. And if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to get caught and I'm going to get thrown in jail. I'm going to get put away. And you told me I better stop doing what I'm doing. And I did not take your advice. And 1 week later, I got caught at doing something I should not be doing. And I went to jail for 2 years. And every day I woke up and I said to myself, why didn't I listen to Artie? So there was a time where I was doing a reading for a group of ladies in one big room. And I went to this one lady. There's about 40 women in the room. And I went up to this one lady. I said, your mother's here right now. And she's telling you, you need to play her birthday in the lottery. Her birthday in the lottery is coming up real soon. You need to play her birthday. And so she says, all right. She says, I will. And so a couple weeks go by, and her friend who owned the cafe, because that's where I was doing the party at a cafe, her friend calls me up and she says, Art, she goes, do you remember you were reading for this one girl and you told her that you held her hand and you said her mother was there and you said that she needs to play her birthday on the lottery? I said, yeah. I said, I remember you saying that now that you mention it. She goes, well, she did play her mother's birthday. And I didn't know what the numbers were. I just knew she had needed to play her mother's birthday. She goes, she played her mother's birthday and she won $6,200. And the beautiful and that was her mother's gift to her from heaven. And this girl does missionary work where she does volunteer work, where she doesn't get paid for what she does, but other than room and board. So that was her mother's gift to her from heaven, to letting her know she's proud of her.
I guess a skeptic might ask, if you can do that, why wouldn't you do that for yourself and become a millionaire? What do you say to that?
Well, I'll put it this way. It's not meant for me to have. It's only meant for me to give away. Because if you knew anything about me, you would know that I have to at least give it a shot. And of course I gave it a shot. And of course I never won. Because I could only give it. I can't take it. I can help people with the gift. Now, I get paid a nice salary. I get paid a nice commission for doing what I do for other people. But it's a gift for me just to give. I can't just do that because that would change. I guess that's God's way of keeping me humble. Because if I just became a millionaire, billionaire, or whatever, it's like my drive or enthusiasm might not be there because I'm personally taking care of her, But I do have a drive, but I really do love doing what I do for a living.
Do you ever find yourself drawn to somebody, like if you're out at a grocery store or somewhere and you see somebody and you're just drawn to go talk to them? Does that ever happen to you?
Once in a great, great, great blue moon. Once in a great blue moon. I next to never do that. When I'm out in public, it's like I'm off just like everybody else. I don't want to know anyone else's garbage. I do have friends that are on 24/7 with their spirituality, with their psychic stuff or whatnot. I don't want to go there because I don't want to pick up on everyone else's energy. Because my friends who are on 24/7, all of them suffer from depression on some level because they're picking up on everyone else's energy because they're never turned off. And it might not even have nothing to do with them. But are there times when I'm in a bookstore or I'm at a restaurant and I'll just see something about them? When I want to turn it on, I could turn it on. But it happened very, very, very seldomly where I'm drawn to somebody. And if that happens to me, yes, I will go up to them and tell them. because I'm not trying to read into other people, because I don't want to. I only want to when I want to. But other than that, I'm just like everybody else in public when I'm out in the mall or the beach or shopping or something.
Well, do you think that it's part of them as well that is helping you read? Like they have to be perceptive to it or ready to hear what you have to say?
No, believe it or not, no, they don't. They don't have to be ready. A lot of people aren't ready, and information just freely comes. Now, that's why I don't try to read somebody who does not want to be read. There are people who come to see me for a reading, but what they do is they challenge me, and I can't read them because either A, they're jealous and they don't want me to read it, they don't want me to be right, or B, they're so angry or so upset with their life circumstances, or they're so upset with somebody who passed away, or so they hold so much anger and resentment. It's like they don't want to know the truth. They want to be able to hold on to that negativity. So their energy could very well block me from reading them. So even though their words might say, oh yeah, no, I want to be read. I'm open, but they're not ready. I personally would never tell somebody when they're going to die. I won't say that, even if they ask me, Artie, when do you see me die? I've told people I see you living a long life, or the only time I'll tell somebody when they're going to die is if they're on their, if they're taking care of somebody on their deathbed, how much longer do they have? That's different. You want to prepare if you can, if the messages are given to me. But anybody who tells you when they're going to die, they're a crappy reader. They have no heart. They have no heart. They shouldn't be saying that.
Have you ever come across somebody that you just thought, this is a bad person, I don't need to be dealing with this person?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You come across all walks of life. Yeah. There are times where I've gone into a house, only a handful. Now, mind you, I've done, over 1,000 parties. And there have been about maybe 3 or 5 houses. That's it. 3 or 5 houses. The moment I walked in there, the house looked nice. The people were nice. I just wanted to leave like right away. But when people are excited to see me and they've waited to see me, I don't like to disappoint anybody. So, but if I get the really, really bad vibes or whatnot, it's like I just try to do the best I can with what I got.
Well, is it only tied with people, or do you pick up on like buildings and things? Were you picking up on what's in that house rather than the people who are there? Maybe something happened before.
Well, yeah, that's usually what it is. It could be the grounds of the house. It doesn't have to be the house itself. It could be the grounds that the house was built on. Could have been a burial ground. It could have been somebody got killed there. It could have been there was abuse from a family before the people who I'm reading for who live there. It could be the family who owned the house before them, where there's really bad stuff going on. But thank God for me, it hardly ever happens. So it very rarely happens.
You don't normally deal with paranormal experiences. No one, people don't call you to say, look, I think my house is haunted. Can you come fix it for me?
Oh, yeah. Oh, people have done that. Yeah.
Well, tell us a story. Tell us one of those stories.
Well, the thing is like when I go to a house and there's weird stuff going on in the house, every time I've gone into the house, I don't know what it is about my energy, but there's nothing that happens as soon as I step in the house. And I feel like the spirits know that I'm out there to get them. And so it's like they don't make themselves known to me. And so therefore they scurry. But what I'll do is I walk around the house and I say a blessing on the house to release any dark energy away from the house, any negative energy or spirits. And I say a prayer and I walk around the house and I sage the house and I do like a little mini ceremonial. And then I bless the grounds. It makes the house lighter, and then the spirits go away.
You bless the grounds? Is that a religious aspect, or do you?
It's just spiritual. Yeah, it's all spiritual. If you want to call it a touch of religion, it might be a touch of religion, but it's spiritual. I was raised in a Jewish family. conservative Jewish. My family's very Jewish, and I'm Jewish through and through, and I'm proud of it. But I'm not so much as religious like my brothers. My parents were very, conservative, religious, and which is all well, fine and dandy. And for everybody else within your religion, that's all fine and dandy. For me, I'm much more spiritual. I 100% believe in God. I 100% believe in angels. I believe in the ability of the holy saints, even though, saints aren't so much as a part of the Jewish religion, but I believe in saints. I believe in angels. I believe in God. And I always ask for their help every day. I start my day off by saying positive affirmations. And I suggest everybody to do the same thing. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I say. It's my own little prayer. Now, mind you, we all have our own personal guardian angels. We all have, every single individual born into this world has at least 2 guardian angels with them 24/7. Even after they die, they're still with you for a little while longer after that. It is your angel's sole purpose to be there just for you. That is their only purpose and reason why they're here on earth, is to be here just for you, for whatever it is you need. But you need to ask, and people miss out on that. So what I say is this: I call upon my loving guardian angels. Thank you for intervening into my life today, granting me peace, harmony, balance, and serenity. Thank you for bringing true love into my life. Thank you for bringing happiness and prosperity into my life. In the name of the Holy Spirit, amen. And that's it. And then I go about my day. And then if I'm hit with obstacles throughout the course of my day, I don't even worry about it. I just, all right, it'll work itself out. And guess what? It ends up working itself out. One of my friends said to me, he goes, Art, when it comes to life, he goes, it's all good in the end. And if it's not good, then it's not the end. There was a time when somebody once asked me, Art, do you do homicides? Can you help us find the killer of one of our friends? And I said, sure. I said, I believe I can. This is when I first started too. So I said, just show me a picture of the person. I went to the bar. It was a local bar. And I went there. I looked at the picture of the guy. I was able to describe what the killer looked like because their friend was killed. I described what he looked like. I described his personality. I described where he lived. And I also know how he killed him. The fella behind the bar said, I know exactly who you're talking about with your description. Because the place where I said he was living at his mother's house, and I described what it was like in a mother's house. He says, you're describing exactly the way this guy is and the way he acts and stuff like that. With that, the police actually reopened the case because, it was a dead case. It was a dead deal. But the newspaper caught up on it and they reopened the case. But the police did such a botch-up job on this. They did such a piss-poor job on this that they just closed it. And then when they reopened it again because of the information and I described the killer and stuff, after a few more days, they went back to closing it back up again because somebody was covering up for somebody. So, it was a shame. But, so can people find missing pets and people and stuff? Absolutely. Some people say, oh, if you're really a good psychic, then what am I thinking? It's like, I'm not, no, that's a mentalist. A mentalist is somebody who could read somebody else's mind. That's not being psychic. That's a mind reader is a mentalist. That's, believe it or not, totally different. I was reading for this one lady and she waited to the end for herself to be read. She let all her other friends be read first. She waited the last one. So I told her, I said, your mom's saying play 347. She goes, all right. She goes, as soon as we're finished here, I'll have my husband go to the store and I'll have him play those numbers, 347. So her reading is over. We go walking down the hallway and her husband is sitting on the ottoman in front of the TV with the TV clicker. And he's watching TV. And she goes, honey, she goes, my mother pulled through. And she says, we need to play the lottery. You need to go to the 7-Eleven to play the numbers. She goes, she said, play 347. And he's looking at the TV and he says, it's too late. It just came up, 347. It was right on the TV. She goes like this, son of a bitch. And I had to make myself last. And it was funny. It was funny. There was a time where I told this one girl, I said, I was connecting to her grandmother. And I said, your grandmother is telling me that when you are taking selfie pictures, she is going to make herself appear in one of the pictures very faintly. You will see a very faint picture of your grandmother within the picture while you're taking a selfie picture of yourself. And she goes, all right, cool. So she goes out there, and it just so happens while she was doing her reading, her cousins that were in the dining room, they're all waiting to be read by me. All of a sudden, they were talking, and they start screaming. They go, oh, my God, because she said what I said to her cousin. And they looked at their own pictures because they were taking selfie pictures while I was in session with her. And she goes, look. She goes, there's a picture of Grandma in the picture. She goes, while you were reading me, my cousins were taking picture of themselves, selfie pictures, and my grandmother appeared in that picture.